So welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to feature the Nomad. I spent a lot of time riding my Specialized Kenevo e-bike lately, but I have actually been out on a few rides on the Nomad, and surprisingly I've had a lot of fun, and I've actually ridden the Nomad consecutively without riding the e-bike, if that makes sense. So it offers a different experience, obviously. This feels like a lightweight, super lightweight trail bike in comparison to the big travel feeling of the Kenevo, and it feels like a downhill bike. So yeah, this is I'm enjoying riding this. It's a different experience, and it gives you a proper workout on the hills, as you can imagine. So yeah, thought I'd give this a little bit of an upgrade today and upgrade the GX derailer to the AXS, which is the wireless shifting. There's literally no justification for buying the upgrade kit for me personally, but I was curious to see what it would be like, and yeah, that's it really. Maybe there's some hidden advantages to having the wireless shifting, perhaps, maybe we'll find out in time, but there's probably some disadvantages as well. So yeah, we'll set about removing the old derailleur and the cabling, and then we'll look at installing the AXS kit, and hopefully it will be a straightforward and simple setup, but we'll see. So that's the old derailleur removed. I did actually notice that the bolt that holds the derailleur on was actually slightly loose, so that obviously not ideal, but didn't seem to cause any issues. I did have some issues early on with the gearing, and to be fair, I've had issues with the GX gearing on all of the bikes that I've owned. So the Trek Remedy initially had problems, although it was second hand. The Transition I briefly had before this, and this bike. Actually, funnily enough, the gearing has been running perfectly lately after I played about with them, set it all up. So now yeah, could be taking a step backwards towards not having gears at work, but fingers crossed it all goes to plan, and the e-shifting, can you call it, remote shifting, wireless shifting, hopefully it all works out. So let's take a little look in the box. So in the box, obviously you get the wireless derailleur, the battery charger, the battery, the wireless remote, this what they call a stealth bar mount. I think that just mounts on the bars if you haven't got like a matchmaker or equivalent mounting system. You get the checker for checking your derailleur angle and against the cassette. You get this quite nice little multi-tool, and then of course the USB charging cable for the charger, and that is pretty much it. That's everything you get. The protective case is already on the derailleur to protect the battery, and that is pretty much it. You do get a nice coaster with the app on the back, and then of course a few little booklets as well. Let's set about fitting the derailleur, and I should probably charge the battery actually. So the access button is there. In the pairing process, you hold it down here until the light flashes, and then you hold down the remote, the button on the remote. So once the LED flashes on here, you press the button on the remote until that flashes, and then they're paired together pretty much. What I was doing was pressing the remote buttons to operate it straight away, and it wasn't happening. So you have to end the process, the pairing process, by pressing that button again, or you wait 2 minutes for the pairing process to cancel on its own. After that it worked fine. So this is the protective cover for the battery. So protective you can't get it off. So as you can see, it's quite a neat installation. So yeah, that is the GX AXS working. Working at least in the test. So now it's time to hit the trails and see how it works and performs in the real world, I guess. So yeah, let's go. So this is supposed to be the first ride after fitting the GX AXS wireless shifting, wireless derailleur, but in fact actually it's about a month later. And the reason behind that was I did go out on the first ride, but the GoPro was on the wrong settings, and yeah, the footage was really crap. But the good thing is I've now had quite a bit of time to get used to it and really give probably a better judgment, I think. So one of the things I would say at first is how effortless it is to shift. Obviously, the advantages to having wireless shifting is the lack of wires or cables, and in terms of setup, it was really easy to set up, far easier than I had expected, to be honest. I kind of expected it to be a bit of a pain. Yeah, easy to set up, which to my surprise I was pretty pleased about. Well, very pleased about. Literally took a very short amount of time. Just unbolted the access lever here from the bar via that little T20, T25. Basically, you look at the derailleur and look at the where it is in line with the cassette, and then you just make your adjustments by clicking in small increments to adjust it. The shifts are extremely quiet generally. See if I can do it. It's under load. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, that is a nice aspect. They're fast, precise, and quiet. The only thing I would say in terms of disadvantages are you always have to remove the battery. Obviously, if you have the bike stood in the back of your van or car, the motion, I believe, or led to believe, triggers it to wake up. So yeah, you could find that you've got a flat battery sooner than you expect. So for that reason, I just removed the battery. But that leads you to the other problem, which is remembering to have the battery with you, store it somewhere, keep it charged, and obviously plug it on. Being another electrical component, eventually you may find there's some issues with water ingress potentially, especially if you don't maintain it and look after it. So shifting gears is almost effortless with the rocker shifter. You barely have to press it to change gears, which obviously requires less effort, which is great. But that's also the downside to it as well. And the reason being, as I found out on the first ride, came to a standstill, accidentally knocked it, which changed it up a gear, went to pedal off under load, and it, yeah, nearly ripped a tooth off the cassette. So yeah, that's one of the downsides to it. The other downside, of course, is the price. Is it justifiable? Probably not, I would say. It's very hard to justify, come up with a reason why you need wireless remote shifting. Yeah, struggle to justify that to myself, to be honest. And actually it is far better than I expected. Try that again. Whoop. Just about. Skinny practice. Yeah, so given the option, would I have the wireless? Absolutely. I think if money was no object on a bike build, I'd definitely spec it. Just think it's a lot neater not having the cables, and like I say, in terms of adjustment and setup, it was just so nice to not have to be faffing with cables that stretch over time, and obviously routing them through the frame and whatnot. But I don't think necessarily the advantages outweigh the disadvantage of a conventional style derailleur. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, if you think it's a complete waste of money, if you really want to get one, if you're planning to get one for your next build, or if you think I'll never own something that's wireless. Obviously it's a lot to think about in terms of charging batteries. So let's say it's on an e-bike, you've got to make sure your e-bike battery's charged, your derailleur one, maybe your camera batteries, your phone has to be charged. Yeah, it's a lot to think about potentially. Obviously you could have a wireless dropper as well, and that would be even more to think about. So yeah, depends how forgetful you are, how prepared you are usually for your rides. Let's go down here. A little bit slower than normal. It's wet, getting whipped by the branches. Oh, it's slick. Oh, it's slipping about. Oh, it's like being back in winter, only not quite as cold. Definitely got a face full of mud now. Yeah, alright. So I realised I didn't do an outro whilst I was out riding. So this is a quick summary. Would I get the GX AXS again? I would if I was building a bike. I don't think I would upgrade if I already had the cable actuated version. I just don't think it's enough of an upgrade. There's no justification for it, as great as it is. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully it's been a bit of an insight into the wireless gears, which are probably going to become more commonplace on mountain bike builds and e-bike builds over the coming years, I'm sure. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.